I shall invite our wonderful company to take it away.
As well as being all singing, all dancing, they've all got to learn puppetry, and we've got to find out how to make these beautiful puppets by Nick Barnes and his team come to life and live on stage alongside our real living cast.
Everybody keeps saying the word reinvention, that's what we're doing.
It gives you a sense of how spectacular and magical this production will be. Leslie, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for coming in. I want to start, if I may, by one of the songs within this piece, because there's a real story behind it. It was supposed to be an audition piece.
Yes, well, when I did the film, I had to audition a section of screenplay and 2 songs, so I decided to go from the beginning of the story, the first 20 minutes of the film.
And it was Talk to the Animals, this track.
There are 12 Doolittle books.
Okay.
And so I had to figure out what the whole thing was about. So my first thought was to do Talk to the Animals. I knew that that would come in somewhere, so that was my first effort.
Yes, and it turned out to be quite a good effort, because in fact it was your first kind of adventure in Hollywood, and you won the Oscar.
Yes, on day one. It's not bad.
It's kind of, did that give you a sense there of perhaps I'm onto something? I'm onto a winner here?
No, well, I think the project was exciting because the reason it was Rex Harrison, the intention had been to reunite the old My Fair Lady team of Lerner and Lowe, and in their show Camelot, they all got ill. Fritz Lowe had a heart attack, Alan J. Lerner had a nervous breakdown, and Moss Hart died. But they still stayed with Rex, and I was the kind of first reserve, so I was very lucky.
Indeed. Let's talk about this new production, because I know that you've not kind of brought back what you had done previously. There are many tweaks to this.
Well, the whole animal situation in the world has changed a great deal in the last 50 years, and the peril of animals in the world today, the depleting population of animals, is very much there. And we have a fantasy island which contains all the animals of the world. And we have a sort of forerunner of David Attenborough, as it were,
right,
who's protecting all these animals. And funnily enough, David's brother, Dickie Attenborough, was in the Dr. Dolittle
yes.
film. He was the circus owner.
It's almost like a new type of arc, really, then, isn't it, in that respect? We're trying to protect
you
these
could
animals.
say, yes, actually a floating Noah's Ark. Yes.
Mark Williams, in the lead role here.
He is the nearest thing to what Hugh Lofting, interestingly, Hugh Lofting created these books in World War I, in the trenches, as a series of letters to his children, which is quite an amazing thought when you think of the horror of that. And that's how it developed.
Yeah, he certainly brings, a new energy to it.
He's the nearest thing to the original concept of Hugh Lofting. Funnily enough, he resembles the illustrations in the books. He looks just like them.
Of all the music that you've created and all of the artists that you've worked with, where does Doolittle kind of fit into the grand scheme of things? Well,
it's hugely important because it was my introduction into movies, and it all grew from Doolittle, so I have a great love affair with Doolittle, and it keeps coming back. I think as the animal situation becomes more difficult in the world, and you have to worry about so many creatures that we're losing, it gains an importance every time. The show is associated with the World Life Fund, and I think that's an important step.
And I know there was a grand gala opening last night. Does it put extra pressure on the cast when they know that the man who was behind it is there?
The cast were wonderful. Our director, Christopher Renshaw, has managed to teach them, I mean, not teach them, but they were already actors, singer, dancers, but he had to teach them puppetry. He and the designer, Nick Barnes, the puppet designer. The puppetry is fantastic.
Yes.